Hello and welcome. Today we're going to dismantle this Shimano Deore XT M771 rear derailleur. This one's brand new and it's the reason why I want to do a video on this. This particular model came out in 2008. It was actually made for 9-speed. I think the reason why they have this very long cage here is because most likely that to accommodate the larger cogged cassettes. I prefer this derailleur actually compared to their previous XT group set that was kind of bubble shaped with a matte grey finish, probably the ugliest XT group set that ever existed. This one I very much like, with the X-shaped parallelogram top plate right here. So let's begin on dismantling it and then we're going to put it back together again. Let's begin by removing some of the small parts, such as the anchor bolt. On the side here, you're going to have a very tiny bolt. It's a number 2, I believe. And we're going to unscrew that, and that's going to give us access to the spring on the bottom knuckle and to take off the jockey wheel cage. We can now take off that bolt. Let's pull this out now. So we'll release the tension on that spring. Right here you'll have a seal. These are quite often worn and then they cause a little bit of play right here. We have the spring to take off. Let's take off these pulleys, jockey wheels. You'll see here there's still the sealant, thread sealant, whatever it's called, the thread locking seal liquid. Let's take off that first one. Oh, that was hard. So mine still has that cover. Most of these I think get lost after usage. And on the back here you're going to have a circlip that we're going to need to remove. You're going to need something flat to pull it out. Oh, be careful your finger there, I nearly had it smack into me. The tension of that spring just suddenly released. We can now take this part of the assembly. I can't seem to ever find a word for this. It's like the bead tension screw stopper plate. There's a seal, the spring. Top part is slightly inverted inwards. Let's take out the bolt here by pushing it through. There's a tiny little seal here, so if yours is quite worn, you can sometimes find these in DIY shops and just replace them quite easily. And finally there's a seal here which also can sometimes be worn. Again, in a DIY shop, if you're lucky, you do find these. I have found some slightly larger, but they worked. Compared to some other derailleurs, it looks like the spring here is going to be a lot harder to remove if you ever want to take that off and replace. I've done that in other videos. On this one though, I don't think I'm going to be doing it. And finally here we have the limit screws to take out. Maybe we'll be able to take off that spring between the plates. Being careful here not to scratch the derailleur. I actually need to sell this again because I pretty much buy sometimes these derailleurs to just simply make a video on them. Yeah, I'm looking at this again. I mean, it's you can probably remove this spring inside here by just latching on or catching onto it with something like this hook tool that I've got. That's what I usually do. And once you've removed the limit screws, it will completely, for one, take off all the tension on it and give you a little bit more maneuverability at taking it off if you really have to do that. But it's definitely not easy, as the hook parts on that spring on both ends are fairly enclosed. The lower pulley has a sealed bearing inside it. It's marked 1760D. NMB Thailand for the bearings. I don't know why you would on earth want to change that, but I thought I'd point it out. I like how simple the derailleurs became. So let's put this all back together again. So in this video, unlike all my other ones, I'm finally going to begin assembling this part first. It seems like the better way. So grab the, I think it's the front jockey wheel cage, or the inner. I don't know why this one's the inner and this one's called the outer. It's according to the diagram anyway. This one makes more sense to be the inner. So take the lower pulley, the one that's sealed anyway, and we're going to now put this back together again. So tighten that up, but not completely, just enough so there's a bit of movement still, as we're going to put the other jockey wheel too. So top one's the guide pulley. You can definitely put some mineral oil on yours if you want to, give it a bit less friction. Probably better zooming this in. You can now fully tighten that up. Don't forget to put some Loctite on yours if you're, I mean this one was new so I don't think it's required, but you can definitely put some on if your one's a little bit more used. Just verified because I know some derailleurs have different lengthed pulley bolts. This one doesn't. I'm going to add on a little bit of grease on the parts where it's going to be sealed. Let's work on the top knuckle, so I'm going to put that seal back on. Let's put that bolt through. Let's grab the spring. I think the longer tip was facing downwards into the knuckle, and there'll be a hole at the back there that you want to aim for. Let's put that seal, so you'll see one part has like an inner edge that fits perfectly into the knuckle. I really don't want to do this, but I have to because it's easier. So take off this B-tension screw. Mine has some thread locker on it, a little bit harder. So that plate, the other tip of that spring is going to go through that hole. Get a kind of plier ready for putting back the circlip, and grab a number 2 or 2.5 Allen key, preferably a long one. You're going to insert the small tip through the hole where that screw is that we just removed. Put that more or less all at the back, and then you're going to use your hand to bring this around, and you're going to want that stopper to go in front of the other stopper here. So once you get to the right side, just push it down with your fingers. Now hold that down. As you remember, mine nearly flew into my finger earlier on, and that's pretty painful. Grab the clip and we're going to put it through that, underneath that ridge right there. There you go, and that's clicked through. You can now let go. You can put now the P-tension screw back in. Be careful not to cross thread. Let's put the limit screws back in. It's very obvious with that kind of plastic pod that's holding the screws go. There's like a knob thing that's sticking out. So you aim for the for it in the same place here. Again, be careful not to cross thread. You'll notice when you start putting the high limit screw down, the derailleur will obviously open. Let's work on the bottom knuckle now, so you have that sill that you can put back on. Then grab the spring, the part that's larger diameter, tip's a little bit longer here. I'm going to put that first, so there'll be a hole again here at the back. Aim for that. Once that's fully inserted, that other tip, you'll see here that there's two holes. So when I took it out, it was on the right side, and I believe if you put it on the left side, it's gonna make the the jockey wheel cage more tensioned. Okay, got that in. So now we're going to pull this back, and there's that stopper that's right here. We want it to go in front of that kind of rod. And then once you've done that, you push down. So hold this in place. Make sure you hold that nice and tightly. You don't want that to have any spacing. And now we're going to put that bolt back in. Grab your number 2 Allen key. Remember when you're doing this though, to use a good quality Allen key, especially for smaller sizes, as when you remove these tiny little bolts here, you quite often kind of strip them. And now tighten that up. I'm now going to put my my rubber protector thing. Got it on finally. Put the anchor bolt back on. Right, well there you have it, done. It just occurred to me, I wonder if Shimano on purposely puts this type of black paint on their derailleurs, as it's very prone to scratching and chipping, and as soon as it does that, it starts to look very ugly. Obviously encouraging the customer to get a new derailleur. Food for thought. Anyway, thank you for listening, and until next time, peace out.